Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're with Chuck and Cindy, and we are in Lander, Wyoming. And they're going to tell us where's home and why here, and the insights that most of us wouldn't get if we were just passing through. So, thank you so much.
Go ahead.
I'm Cindy Kenyon. I live in Torrington, Wyoming. I love Wyoming more than pretty much anything here in the United States. I just love this place. My family came here to Lander in the 1870s, and I grew up here. It's a beautiful place, and Lander's kind of a mountainous area. I think you can see from the stuff behind us here, the view is extraordinary, and the outdoors attract many, many people. But I have settled now in Goshen County, Wyoming, and I spent 20 years in public service there as the county clerk. So I was in charge of accounts payable, payroll, human resources, elections, the real estate recorder. And I work with the county commission, and largely you're the record keeper and one of the bookkeepers for the county.
Wow.
So
That's a diverse palette.
it is,
Yeah.
and that's what happens in counties like Goshen County. It's 2,200 square miles, more or less, and 12,500 people, more or less, in the piece of the pie that is the state of Wyoming. And where this is a mountainous region, Torrington is a farming region, and most of the property ownership there is private. Most of the county, very little public land in Goshen County. And the farming, we feed 1 million people down there. Just the farming is incredible. The hunting is incredible. The views are beautiful, and the weather is very temperate for Wyoming. Some Wyomingites call it kind of the breadbasket or banana belt of Wyoming. But we're also known to get tornadoes and hail and big, huge blizzards. So those things still happen. Our tax base there, there's property taxes, which in the state here people sometimes consider pretty high. But they're not. It's not as high as other places, and each state in the United States gets their tax base from somewhere. We don't have income tax, personal income tax in the state of Wyoming, and that is a huge attraction for a lot of people that have been paying that for a long time. Our property values are pretty steady, and even through the pandemic and some of the ups and downs, we don't fluctuate that much in Goshen County. We remain a bit more stable than other places. We're largely conservative in nature, and as a general rule, just really proud of being from Wyoming. You know, there's, I think that's something that doesn't happen in a lot of the rest of the nation, is to have that pride of where you're from, not just in your sports team, but you feel like your actual roots, you know, are there, and it's part of you.
Well, as you mentioned, it's also generational, right? You talk about property values staying steady. I can't imagine the turnover on land is like a lot of other metropolitan areas.
Yeah, we have homes available. People are building. We have jobs available. There's open, we're really open to several industries, you know, a wide variety of things can happen in Goshen County, and there's business parks and things, but still it has a beautiful main street, beautiful shopping.
Nice.
My years in public service were wonderful, but right now I'm retired from that, and I'm a jewelry designer and designing for some store in Cheyenne and myself, and I engrave and inlay antlers and bones with turquoise and everything like that. Copper. Do some A guy in an interview in Cheyenne the other day, he pointed at me across the room and called me the artsy lady.
That's a compliment.
That was nice.
Yeah.
You know, I like that. But Goshen County has a beautiful feel to it. And if you like a conservative place where you can live your life and in peace and quiet and enjoy the outdoors, it's a beautiful place to even raise a family.
Nice.
Our schools are top notch, and you need to be a bit creative looking for things for your kids to do, because we don't have a Walmart, we don't have a Lowe's or a Home Depot or any of that kind of stuff. The biggest city is 6,000.
Torrington? Yeah, 6,100.
6,100. So that's the biggest city. And it has just the things that I love. I love little boutique places, artsy places. Our downtown is really active, and our
That's
community is active. I serve on our youth alternatives, or, you know, kind of the juvenile justice system, outside of the juvenile justice system. I serve with suicide prevention, addiction prevention, smoking prevention, that kind of thing.
Nice.
Clean living. Clean living.
That's good.
We're all for that.
Good stuff.
Let's see. Design jewelry, do a little consulting, but my retirement in Goshen County is heaven on earth, I
That's
tell you.
outstanding.
It's beautiful.
Well worth the hard work.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It
Excellent.
is.
Well, then are you still working or?
I retired after 27 years in higher education. There's a community college there in Torrington, Eastern Wyoming College, and went to work there. Actually, went to school there in '83 and graduated with a 2-year degree, and then went back to work there in '92. I did IT. Quite fun. Glad to be done with it. But after I retired, the mayor thought I needed something to do to keep out of trouble. So he asked me to be the emergency manager for the city, which is about planning and grant writing. Now, I've been a volunteer firefighter in Torrington since 1987.
Nice.
And firefighting is a different game than emergency management, because in firefighting, we're generally speaking reacting to other people's problems, and in emergency management, we're attempting to prevent problems. We're planning for problems. So we say planning for the worst and hoping for the best. So, yeah, Torrington is an interesting community. It was incorporated in 1908. The first postmaster used the name of his hometown in Connecticut, Torrington. So there are actually only 2 Torringtons in the United States, and the Connecticut Torrington was named after Torrington in England. Our population density in Goshen County is about 5.5 people per square mile.
Wow.
And the state's population density is just about 6 per square mile. So we're actually a little less dense than the state, because our larger cities, Casper and Cheyenne, they're, I think Cheyenne's around 65,000, Casper's like 61,000. So they barely qualify as cities,
Right.
according to the national standards, and we certainly qualify as frontier in Goshen County. We are high desert in our climate. We're at the kind of the foothills going up against it'd be the Medicine Bow Range, called Medicine Bow Route National Forest of the Rocky Mountains. Yeah, what else would you like to know?
So tell me why here, and have you lived here your whole life? And
So Torrington was where my mother was raised. Her mother was raised in a community called Keyline, which is on Highway 20 between Douglas and Lusk, Wyoming. Her family homesteaded, came into Wyoming in the 1910, 1920 era. 1917 is what sticks in my mind, but I don't know if that's true. And my mother's father was raised in Superior, Wyoming, which was a coal mining community with underground mines operated by the Union Pacific Railroad, because it was on the transcontinental route. I was actually raised in Florida. My parents met at the U in Laramie, and the only university in Wyoming. Met there and started their life in a different place, and ended up in Florida where I was born and raised. We always visited Wyoming, and when it was time for me to go to school, I came out here to go to school and stayed. So I've been here since 1983.
That
Nice.
speaks volumes.
It does.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
What else would you like to know?
Ever thoughts of leaving?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, about the time we take a trip, all thoughts of leaving go away. We recently traveled through Indianapolis. We flew into Indianapolis, went up to Michigan to see my brother's family, went to Ohio to catch up with some friends, saw the Wright-Patterson Air Force Museum, the National Museum of the Air Force, and back to Indianapolis. And that's enough urban life for us. You know, we can go to the driver's license office and get our driver's license renewed in about a 15 to 20 minute visit.
No way.
You know, those of us that are active in government, we know our U.S. senators face to face, and they know us.
Wow. Yeah.
We know our governor. You are very connected with the people that affect your life. As Cindy mentioned, you know, coming to the courthouse, you know who your commissioners are for the most part. If you're involved in anything at all, you know who the people are representing you, and you can have thoughtful, legitimate conversations with them. And
That's a
that's
rarity.
important to
It
us.
is rare. It is very rare.
Yeah.
I would say that, yeah, I grew up right here in Lander, Wyoming. I went to college in California and worked out there, and I felt like a country dog in the city. I mean, the people in San Diego County and everything are wonderful, and I had family there and everything, but there's just something about Wyoming that is beautiful. And if you don't mind driving a little ways for some of the things you want and some of the activities you want, it's wonderful. But I've had the joy of being in public office and seeing this entire state and spending time in this entire state. And the people are wonderful. And like Chuck said, you can come to the courthouse, like say to make a car title. This is something that's interesting. You walk into the courthouse and you actually go to a person. You probably don't have to wait very long. And you can make a paper title for your car. You can file your documents. And technologically, Goshen County may be small, but like we have a completely digitized record system that's online for anybody. And so those are the interesting parts. So although we're small, we offer some of those real wonderful public record, public meeting options for people that, if you want to be involved with the folks that make decisions, it's really easy. You know, my office was open and I was there every day, and more than happy to hear anybody's concerns or things they wanted to, you know, talk about or help people when their loved ones pass away.
Yeah.
You know, during those difficult times,
Yeah.
you can't find anybody to help you.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have a lot of tools and we're not attorneys, but we will listen and we will do our best to point you in the right direction. It's really wonderful. And the person that took over for me as county clerk worked with me for 19 years. So we still have a great relationship. So there's things like that about Wyoming that are very special. People have lost that human connection in so many ways. You know, we might order from Amazon as much as the average city person does, but Yeah, if you come and live here, you'll have a great experience. Just try to mesh into the way of life around here, and pick a space that's good for you.
Well, and certainly you get the feeling the pace of life is different than, quote, the big city, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And that's an attraction for so many nowadays.
Many things are different, and there is. I mean, you guys are West Coasters.
Yep.
You know, you're used to picking up the phone, dialing 911, and there's likely to be an officer or an ambulance or a firefighter on your doorstep in a very short period of time. And one of the things that we do have there's a little bit of culture shock sometimes when people relocate to Wyoming, because they come out, they see that beautiful rural landscape, and they want to live like right up there. And right up there might be 20 minutes from the ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depending on weather.
You know,
Right.
with about 2,200 square miles in
Yep.
Goshen County, our fire district covers an area that, you know, we can be going to a structure fire and driving 20 minutes to that fire.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
has to be, you have to relocate to Wyoming, you have to be ready to be self-care.
A little more self-sufficient. Yeah.
You have to be self-sufficient. You have to be ready for the emergency. You have to be ready to necessarily hunker down for 6 days before the snowplows get out there.
Yeah.
These things happen.
Yeah.
Interestingly that you say that, because our local mountains got hit with tremendous amount of snow
Yeah.
this season, and it put them in crisis because the snowplows couldn't get through, and there were services from outside of California to help, and it was just, and I will have to say my first experience going across to Iowa and not getting cell reception. I'm born and raised in Southern California, you
What do you mean I can't call?
right?
Yeah. And it's a long ways between fuel stops. We don't
we
have,
saw that.
we really don't have electric car chargers.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to plan
Well, darn.
carefully if you're going to operate like that around here. Plus the cold weather depletes the batteries
Yeah.
kind of a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we talked
people
about
have to make good plans. You gotta plan ahead and be 2 weeks ready. That's
Yeah.
one of the
That's what we
big
say.
pushes, is to be 2 weeks ready. Have your medications, you know,
Yeah,
and maybe nothing will happen, but if it does,
you're ready. Yeah.
you'll weather the storm just fine.
The trip
Your
that-
neighbors will help you.
Right?
the trip that you guys are about to take, heading south and east out of here on 287, it's a long blank road. I mean, you're going to enter a place where it will be, I think, probably pretty close to 60 miles from the rest area at the, what do they call the gap to Riverton? Can't remember that, but the road to Riverton, there's a rest area there, and then you'll hit Jeffrey City in about 60 miles. And there's very little cell service in that
Oh,
area.
muddy, yeah.
And then after Jeffrey City, you'll be about, I think, another 60 miles to Muddy Gap, which has a single, it's an intersection in two highways. You can choose to head towards the interstate or head towards Casper. You already said you were going to Casper, but there's a lot of nothing in between except extraordinarily beautiful vistas.
Yeah, we did a lot of stopping yesterday, put the drone up. It was like, oh, this is amazing stuff.
It is amazing. There's
Beautiful.
some wonderful things. Lander has some of the most beautiful places on earth and little hidden treasures everywhere.
How many miles do you do in one day?
We've been averaging in the mid 60s typically, and some of that's dependent upon where we plan to stop.
Right.
Where their services.
Some days we're near 80. I mean, yesterday I think we were just below 80 to get here.
And where is your next stop?
Today, Jeffrey City.
Yeah.
There's not much there.
No, there's a little church where the pastor is not local, but he comes for the summer to host cyclists,
Oh, nice.
which is
Yeah.
pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spends his summer here
Network.
just to do a, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank
'cause that's about the only
'cause
thing along
that's
there.
Folded up. There's one little cafe,
Yep.
but the ranching country around there is great. But when the mines
Yeah.
Yeah.
closed up, the place folded. Everybody hooked up their
Are you aware
trailers
of
and
the
left.
story of Jeffrey City? So Jeffrey City was created, I want to think, like in the late 70s or early 80s in the uranium boom, because there was a uranium mine there.
Oh.
And the companies came in, created the mines, created a town. You know, there's great city streets and everything there. The state built a school that has never been occupied.
Oh my.
Because the mines shut down and it was gone. They hauled houses out of there to Lander. There's a few houses left and some mobile homes and stuff like that, and
Goodness.
some very hardy folks that lived there. But the mines were reclaimed, and you know, it was a boom bust cycle that happened in a matter of a couple of decades, as opposed to like a century or something like some of the other mines did.
Maybe someday that'll all regenerate.
The Wyoming economy has historically been a boom to bust
Really?
economy. Our state government relies very heavily on mineral royalty money. Now, while we, like Goshen County has very little federal land, there's quite a great deal of federal land in Wyoming. So you started when the Transcontinental Railroad came through in the 1860s. The land grants that were given to Union Pacific as they built across the state, Union Pacific was able to develop resources. Again, family time spent in Superior, which is outside of Rock Springs, but they were able to utilize those resources. And there's been in Goshen, or in Platte County, which is right next to Goshen County, there's an area near the town of Guernsey, specifically a town called Hartville, which is the oldest continuously incorporated city in Wyoming.
Oh wow.
By their claim.
It's a beautiful
I've not
place.
verified that, but it's on their sign. And near that is called the Powers Archaeological Site. It's POWARS, and it's a red ochre mine that predates history in Wyoming by thousands of years.
Wow.
And archaeologists just recently did another discovery in that area. They keep going down in layers, and they found tool-making stone, tool stone it's called, but stone that was used to make tools, that they think is going back even further than the Native American civilization.
Wow.
Red ochre was used for painting. It was used for religious ceremonies and things like that. Cindy actually has used red ochre in some of her jewelry, but it's a clay material that has a high iron content in it.
Oh my.
In that Guernsey area, there was an iron mine opened by Colorado Fuel and Iron in the 1800s that operated until about 1982. It was open pit and then went underground. But there was also copper and precious metals in the area that were mined. There was a copper smelter there 100 years ago that isn't there now. And a beautiful state park now. When the Bureau of Reclamation came through in would have been about 1912, 1913, and created the part of the Missouri River Basin Project on the North Platte River. There's a number of dams and reservoirs that control the North Platte River from Saratoga, where the North Platte comes in from Colorado through Casper and downstream, and they created agricultural irrigation projects that brought life to the high desert, so to speak. So in the Goshen County area, there in the Torrington area, there's farming that is not just dry land farming that you'll see on most of the plains in that area.
Okay.
Irrigated.
Irrigated,
It's
yeah.
irrigated farming.
Nice.
Yeah, our Goshen County only has 2% of the minerals in the state of Wyoming. And like how I was saying, we don't fluctuate in our economy in Goshen County quite as much. That's why.
Yeah.
We have largely private ownership of land and only 2% of the minerals. So
Yeah.
that really
Keeps things very stable that
keeps things more stable. Maybe not as ritzy as some other places, but gosh darn it. Slow and steady wins the race, really.
Yeah, indeed.
way. Excellent.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, thank you so much for taking time this morning and sharing the insight, and makes us want to come back and spend more time. Right now, we're kind of traveling through and collecting data so we know, okay, we'll come back and spend more time. But yeah,
Well, we'd love to hear from you when you do.
thank
Absolutely.
you
We'll
so
make you a
much.
steak.
Oh,
Thank
that'll
you.
work.
Wyoming beef.
Yep.
Wyoming beef.
I've seen a few signs like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you'll probably see about every county.
yeah.
There'll be a conservation district
Yeah.
sign that says
Uh-huh.
Wyoming beef or something
Yeah.
like that.
And-
There is a bonus to cycling hours a day. I can pretty much eat whatever I want
Yep.
Oh,
for a
man.
change. So
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
no complaints on my end.
Yeah.
Well, people do say the cold here preserves a person. So,
That I can believe.
Moving.
Well, you certainly use a little more calories when you're dressed to go out at
yeah.
Oh yeah.
zero.
We
You know,
have
shoveling
noticed-
walks and stuff like that.
Yeah, some of the nights have been a little cold and
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
Well, when you stay at elevation, right,
Yeah.
it stands to reason.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's been a great
It's
experience.
a pleasure to meet you guys.
No,
Yes,
we wish
appreciate
you the
it.
very best.
Well,
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Be patient with us and give us some time to.
Oh, I don't.
Oh.
I don't usually watch this stuff. So I did some stuff for a school initiative, and I never have seen it, and I'm more than happy not to see my blips in classrooms, things like that. Trying to get kids to vote.
That's why it's good to be the editor. I can take myself out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Take
thank
me
you.
out. They
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
But this is, you couldn't ask for a better. This is.
This is nice. Oh, the views have been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll love the trip over because, there's these huge valleys. Because you're basically kind of you're not quite stuck between two pieces of the continental divide, but you are actually kind of here when you go over, you're coming out of one mountain range headed for another.
Right.
There's a lot
And
of
the
things.
greens are on the south side. You're going along one set of
Yeah.
ranges, moving from the winds to the Rockies.
Mm-hmm.
But
Or, well, it's
a
all-
lot of things here, like back in time, like in Goshen County, there's a place, Goshen Hole. It's because you're in that dip. But it's, anywhere you go down, you're going to have to go back up.
And
We're
that's
familiar with that.
what we've noticed is things are called something Hole. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
we've always known Jackson Hole. Well, no, it's Jackson, Wyoming.
Yes.
But everybody
The
It's
area
in
is Jackson.
Jackson
The city
Hole.
is Jackson.
and so we went.
Because
Yeah, and so we went
That's in the
past
bottom
this
of the
one
Well, there's Big Hole Pass.
big
and-
hole pass and all the holes, and I'm like, what's with the hole? I don't understand the holes.
Well,
So-
when you go to
into
leave it, you'll
Colorado,
know,
you'll
'cause-
be in parks, and parks and holes are kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
A park was an open mountain meadow, and a hole is kind of the low area, open meadow where you're not in forest, you're not above timberline.
Right.
okay, okay.
But yeah, they the place names are always really interesting. When you're down south
Absolutely.
in Cheyenne, the place names were all by the railroad.
Oh, okay, okay.
And
They
there's stuff
created
here
things.
that like they like in Goshen County, there was a town called Springer because as the irrigation and reservoirs and stuff were coming to life, all the places where they had these little towns and things, stage stops and things like that. As the reservoirs cropped up and the railroad came in, they would just pack up a town, pick up the buildings, and move it
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
over by the railroad.
Uh-huh.
So
They say
that's
railroads for
how
life.
you end up with those little towns like he was talking about that aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
And they dried up and blew away. But we had an entire Jewish society, a colony of black people, all that came and farmed and were revolutionary in that.
During
in
that era, yeah.
field.
Little place called Empire in
Yeah.
northern Goshen County that a number of post-Civil War, a number of blacks came, settled out there, homesteaded the area, had a thriving community, and then just didn't make it.
But they were well trained and educated people that brought changes to farming. And then in our area, a lot of the Volga Germans
Oh,
came to our area, and they brought hard wheat and beets and different types of things.
and Russian
to-
thistle.
Yeah, to bring. They
Russian
brought
thistle and wheat
with
stalks.
their with their seeds. But
Seeds.
that's kind of how all that farming came in. So you have this really diverse
Oh yeah,
population.
certainly sounds
Uh-huh.
like it.
Yeah, and it's really cool how everything happened. And sometimes I've gone and spoke at the little towns, and you talk to the people there, and they know how they were built. But the newer people living there, they don't know where the stuff come from. And it's like, well, that building over there was brought here this way, or this building was floated down the river, or
Oh, my.
things like that.
The Volga Germans were they were Germans that were invited into Russia by Catherine the Great, and her idea was to hope that the Germans could teach some of the Russian people how to farm in the German methods, and so they were very successful. They were promised many things by the Russian government that maybe didn't quite get there. There's a whole story about that.
Yeah.
A history. There's a number of books on the Volga experiment, basically. And then after Catherine the Great died, and you had the Russian Revolution, the pogrom started, things like that. Those people left that area, and that was where my grandmother's parents came from. They immigrated from
Oh, nice.
from the Volga German area, the Volga Russia River Valley area, and came out here to be
When-
naturalized U.S. citizens and homestead United States land.
Right.
When you
Wow.
look at like the Great Seal of the state of Wyoming, you can see that there's farming, mining, all of these things are included
Incorporated.
in
It's in our seal.
in our Great Seal, and we're called the Equality State. Well, first of all, we were the first with women's suffrage, but along with that, we also had equal pay for teachers. Men and male and female teachers were given equal pay.
First female justice of the peace
Yeah.
in the United States.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So,
First female governor, I think, too.
yeah, you can see Esther Morris's chair right at the museum over here. I used to sit in it when I was a little kid. But she was the first JP. But we're called the Equality State for a lot of things, and it's because if you were willing to work hard, put your, shoulder to the wheel, nose to the grindstone, all those uncomfortable things, you were welcome here. And the women that came here for those things, my
Were a
family
hardy
being
lot.
some of them. One taught they have this little school building. It's so cute, little quaint little thing. Borner School, which was up by Sinks Canyon there. That's where my great grandmother taught. So,
Sounds like a
That-
good place for me, huh?
that is, it's a good place, but
That's a long story.
women and everybody, it didn't matter what color, what nation, whatever. If you were willing to work hard, you could have a future here.
We're still the least populated state in the nation.
Well, and that's something we kept hearing, but we weren't quite sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, even Alaska
thank you.
has more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
clearing that up for us. Now we know for sure.
Yeah, and about 250,000 voters in the state of Wyoming, too.
Wow.
Yeah, the population census, what did I say, 551?
Something like that.
We have technology.
Edit
Little
this
over
out.
a
We have
half a
technology
million. Yeah,
here.
anybody can Google it, but
Wow.
yeah,
I like it.
Well, it sounds like what the
500
forefathers envisioned, right?
I would hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
576, 851.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I think we probably need to get checked out of our room, and we have a few miles ahead of us.
Yes, you do.
Enjoy.
Just a few.
Thank you.
Stay hydrated.
Yep.
Oh,
That-
absolutely.